Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Galvatron. That's right, everybody. Galvatron has finally blessed us with his presence. So without further ado, let's take a look at that packaging so we can get into taking a deep dive on that guy right there. So let's bring that box in. And right up there at the top, you have Galvatron. You've got Galvatron in his cannon mode right there in the front. Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron. Transformers up the side. Back here, you have that Kingdom artwork. And in the very back, you have the product shots. He does have the Matrix. His name is Galvatron. He transforms in 33 steps. Got all your warnings down there. And the ever-popular Sad Baby makes another appearance. He is a leader class. And there you have his bot mode. And I'll turn it here a little bit, hopefully without the glare. So you can see both of his modes right there. And that artwork is just phenomenal. And then up here at the top, he is, wow, he's a Decepticon. Who knew? And War for Cybertron K28. And on the bottom, you have your manufacturing information. And that's it for the outside of the packaging. So let's go ahead and take a look at what came in there, and then we'll do a quick camera adjustment, and we'll take a look at this guy. So the inside of the packaging is typical to what you see for the Kingdom. You've got the golden disc, and you have the various glyphs and icons there. Nothing on the back. And next, you will get your little sheet of warnings. So do with that what you will. And he comes with his instructions. And I gotta say, these are thick. There's a lot going on with these instructions here. And then you do get your War for Cybertron Kingdom card. And this time I got a Megatron. So get a Galvatron, get a Megatron card. I guess that's how it goes. There you have that. And as far as his accessories go, he does come with a few accessories. Now, he is wearing his cannon right now, which is one of the accessories. But then we'll take a look at the others. So you do get two of these. Now, these are scale versions, as I understand it. They are scale versions of the Revenge ship. And if you have the HasLab Unicron, I guess this scales really well with Unicron. And you do get two of these. So you can put those two together and then make yourself a nice little gun for Galvatron. And then he does come with the Matrix of Leadership as we saw him in the '86 movie. Now this Matrix is removable, so it is on a post. You can just go ahead and take that off. And it is very much just like the Matrix that you get with the Hot Rod and with the Earthrise Kingdom Optimus Prime. And the chain on this is just molded, so you're not going to do much there. It's just a stiff chain. Alright, now what I'll do is I'll do a quick camera adjustment, and then we'll get in onto the details and articulation with the big man right there. Alright, so now that we've got the camera readjusted, we'll go ahead and take a look at those details on the big man, and we'll start with the cannon. So come bring that in and get a nice close look. So you do have that transparent orange plastic right there. A little bit of paint frosted over on the edges. And then you have that silver and black painted right there. So overall, not a bad looking cannon at all. Alright, and let's go ahead and we'll bring Galvatron in for his close-up. So take a look at that head sculpt and that crown right there. I think that's a good looking head sculpt, good looking face. One of the better ones we've seen on a Galvatron. And moving down to the chest, you can see that yes, indeed, he does have that siege weathered paint effect. So love it or hate it, it is there. Personally, I don't mind it. I think it looks all right. But yeah, you do have good details there. Good molded in detail. The paint apps look great. You got those red 4-pack abs. And then you have that purple cod piece right there. Hip skirts. Good detail on the legs. Got those red kneecaps. So that adds a splash of color down here. And a little bit of weathering right there, just above the ankles. And he does have those stubby little feet, but he does have some nice long heel spurs. So this guy is really stable. You can get him in some good poses because of those. And coming up, move that arm out of the way so you can see a little bit on the side. One thing to note on this guy, you're not going to find a lot of hollow areas. So, you know, under the arms, that kind of stuff, everything is filled in except for this area right here, and even then they did their best. Now this is for the fists to fold in for transformation, so it's not a whole lot you could do about that except maybe put a panel there, but I think for the most part they've done a decent job. It's not that noticeable. So not really any hollow areas on this guy to speak of, which is nice. He does have those details on the arm. And you got those shoulder pieces right there, which look really cool. And on the back, you can see again a really good amount of molded in detail. No hollow areas to speak of. So all in all, just a really good looking figure, and he's solid. You can feel it. This guy's heavy. There's a lot of plastic here, so very good job on the design. Now, as far as the articulation goes, that head is on a ball joint, so you get some side to side, you get some up and down, you can go all the way around if you choose to. The shoulders go all the way up right here, and you can go all the way around. And you do have the bicep rotation. This track will interfere with your bicep rotation if you bring it in this way, so just be aware of that. Overall, not that big of a deal, but it is a bit of a minor gripe. The elbows are double jointed, so you can get a fantastic elbow bend out of this guy. Now, this is due to transformation. He does have a slot there and a tab there, and then you put those together, and that's part of your transformation, but still great for posing. And then down here at the hands, as we mentioned earlier, you do have that wrist swivel that you can take advantage of. Again, this is primarily for transformation, but you can take advantage of it for posing. And then he does have wrist rotation. So moving these arms out of the way, he does have waist rotation. So he will run into the butt plate right here with his hip skirts. So just be aware of that, but you still get many degrees of freedom there as far as posing for that waist rotation. So very nice. And down here at the legs, this guy will do a full Van Damme for you. Great to see a big man doing the splits like that. It's nice to keep your flexibility. And he will kick forward that far, and he will kick backward that far before he runs into his own butt plate. All right, so coming down a little bit lower, he does have thigh rotation. And he will get almost a 90 at the knee, just under. And at the feet, you don't have anything at the toe, but you do have these heel spurs that will lock into a couple different positions, and they will support his weight, so good for posing. And then you do get a little bit of ankle tilt. So overall, articulation details, really nice on this figure. I think they did a fine job with the design here and the engineering on this guy. So what we'll do now is we will go ahead and get him transformed into his alt mode, and we'll take a look at the details there. All right, so before we get started with the transformation, I just want to say real quick that this is not a difficult transformation, but he does have a couple of fiddly areas. So when you're transforming him, just be aware of those and be careful when you're taking him to his alt mode and back to his bot mode. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And if you have him all decked out, like I do right now, of course, the first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take all of the accessories off of him. So let's take that matrix off, and let's take that gun off, and we'll take that fusion cannon off, and then we've got Galvatron stripped down here to the basics. So from this point, you want to take these fists and fold them in to the forearms here. Do that on both sides. And then here on the arms, you're going to fold these arms up on themselves. So you have tabs here that correspond to the slots on the shoulder. So bring those up and give those a squeeze and squeeze those together. Do that on both sides as well. Give them a squeeze and then bring these tracks down. So these tracks don't lock into place. You just bring them down on this double hinge and let them rest in this approximate location. And we'll finesse these later when we get him closer to being completed in his robot mode. So just a real quick note, If I knock this cod piece off, it's just because where I put my thumb, it's just held on by a couple small friction pins. So nothing wrong with the figure. It's just me and pushing right in the wrong spot and making this pop off. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but in case it does. All right, so the next thing is let's go ahead and get his legs prepped. So make sure you take that ankle tilt out and take these heel spurs, pull those heel spurs in, and then take these purple tabs, or these purple flaps here, and spin them around, and you have a tab here that goes to a slot there, and you're going to line that up and give that a squeeze, and do the same thing on the other side here. So bring that around and give that a little bit of a squeeze, and then you take these legs and turn them outward, and when you do, you'll notice that there are a couple of tabs in here that correspond to a couple of slots in this leg. So line those up, give all that a nice squeeze, push all that together. And when you do that, you're going to move these legs up here momentarily. So we're going to turn our attention up here to the top. So take these arms, and similar to Scourge, those of you who have Scourge, pop it right there, and bring these arms out of your way. And then up here in the back, you're going to take this piece right here, and you're going to bring that back and just fit it so it's like that, and then pull this piece down and out of your way. So the next thing that we're going to do is you have this will eventually be the front of the cannon. You're going to open that up right there, and then you've got that cavity area. So what you do, I'm trying to give you a good view here. You have this chest. You're going to pull the chest, and that's going to allow you to rotate that head and tuck the head away inside that cavity. And then once you do that, take this and bring that down so it's angled as such. And now you have another tab here that corresponds to this slot. So bring this forward and give that a squeeze, and that will lock all of this into place and give you that proper orientation for the front of the cannon. Once you do that, you can bring this forward just a little bit, and it will allow you to flip this area up so you have this flipped up like that. And once you do, now we'll be able to take these legs, bring these legs up and get them out of the way. So you have a couple of tabs here, they're showing up right there and right there, that are going to correspond to these slots right here. And you're going to bring these legs up and give that a squeeze. And now you have these legs locked in their position, and they're out of your way for the rest of this. So once you have this, and sorry that these arms keep getting in the way, guys. Once you have this like this, take these hip skirts and bring these hip skirts forward, because you're going to need to use these here momentarily. Bring this down, and it doesn't really lock into anywhere right here, but you just kind of feel kind of a soft catch. It's a very soft catch right there. And then when you do that, you're going to bring these arms down as such. But before you do, I want to show you, you have a tab here and a slot there. But more importantly, right here on the chest, you have this little slot right there, and that's going to line up with this little tab right there. So when you bring these down, this tab and slot, they're going to line up, and then keeping this hip skirt, which will eventually be part of the front of the cannon, keeping that out of your way as much as you can. Bring this tab forward, and then give that a push, kind of applying pressure to all of that. Give that a push, and then you'll hear that snap, and then what that's doing is it's snapping that into place in there, and I hope I'm getting enough light. But you should have something that looks like that. That should be snapped into place, and this should be secure now. And once you do that, you can take this hip skirt, and there is a tab and a slot on the hip skirt. Push that forward, and then that'll help further secure that area. So do the same thing over here. Bring that down, get that slot right there, and then give this a push until you hear that snap, and then push that hip skirt into place. And now you have all of this locked. This is nice and secure now. It's not going to go anywhere. So if you transform him and you still have this loose, your culprit is going to be right in here. So just kind of a heads up on that. All right, so that's the basics of his body. Now you've got this little kickstand area back here. So if you hold on to his legs right here and push down with your thumb, that actually brings this kickstand down. And then you can grab these and pull them out. And there's a couple wheels down here. And of course you've got the wheels on the bottoms of the tracks. So once we get him all finessed up, we should get him in a position where he rolls pretty nicely. Okay, so there you have the basic Galvatron alt mode. Now you just need to add all the accessories. So take the fusion cannon, pull these apart, and then you have that hole right in the front, and you push that part in. And I like to have these aligned, so you've got that little square right there kind of aligned with that little notch. And then take the matrix of leadership, put that over the cannon, and then you have that little slot right there and that little tab. And you're just going to give that a squeeze, and that'll keep that matrix nice and secure right there, so it's not going to go anywhere on you. Take this piece, be careful when you do this. As the instructions state, you take this piece and you put it right here in this port. What worries me about that is this is all painted, so it's a very, very tight, close fit. So when you put it in this port, just be real careful not to rub your paint off right there. So I don't squeeze this down all the way. I just put it about right there just to make sure that I don't scuff the paint on this figure. So then you can take the super gun here, or the two revenge ships, and you have these slots right here, and then you have tabs on either side of the main cannon barrel. And you just take the slots and line those up, and then you can give that a squeeze and put those on either side. All right, and let's adjust those tracks and give this a little bit of a bump down here. All right, and there you have Galvatron, Kingdom Galvatron, in his really awesome cannon mode. I think that looks phenomenal. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the details on this guy in his mode and take a moment to admire what Hasbro and Takara have done here on the engineering. All right, so let's bring Galvatron in and take a look at those details in his alt mode. And go ahead and we'll start at the front here. So you see that big old fusion cannon. You have all this detail down the side here. You got those tracks. I think they look pretty good. I really like what they've done here with this kickstand and with this wheeled area back here. Back and the inside there is nicely detailed. Yeah, very good looking cannon here. This is a nice looking Galvatron. So yeah, overall I would say that this is very well done. And like I say, when you get him set up nicely, he does roll very easily. So that can be kind of a litmus test. You know, if you're having some difficulty rolling, or as I said earlier, if these spots down here are loose, then those are some good indicators for you for the maybe some type of a malalignment in the transformation. So what we'll do is we will go ahead now and we'll bring in some comparisons for you so you can see how this guy stacks up against some other figures. So what we'll do, I will bring in, I don't have a G1 Galvatron, much to my shame. I never had one. I wish I did. So the closest thing that I have is the G1 Rodimus Prime. So if you want to see him next to a G1 Rodimus Prime. There you go. Of course, in a few months, or maybe less than, we do have the Commander class Rodimus Prime coming out for Kingdom. So this won't be the last you see of this guy, because of course I'll have to do a comparison there. But there he is with G1 Rodimus. And we'll bring in the Galvatron from the Bayverse movies, because, you know, why not? I did like this truck mode. I think the truck itself is really good looking. The transformation is, that's lame. But the end result here, I think this Freightliner truck looks really nice. All right. Next, we will bring in the Titans Return Galvatron, so you can see how those two guys look together. And I might angle him a little bit differently so we can see them maybe a little bit more evenly. So there you go. So a lot of similarities, you know. I mean, they're both tracked cannons, and they're both purple with big orange blasts, I guess. So, but he's definitely far superior. All right, move him on out of the way, and the next thing that we'll bring in is the the Siege Megatron. So you can see how he looks next to Siege Megatron, since they both have the siege effects on them. All right. And next, let's bring in a Kingdom Leader. So we'll bring in Kingdom Ultra Magnus, so you can see how he stacks up. See how those two guys look together. So yeah, he's a big boy. Like I said, there's a lot of plastic there. All right. And then the last two comparisons, of course, have to be the minions, right? So let's bring Galvatron in front and center, and we will bring in Scourge from the Studio Series, and we will bring in Cyclonus from Kingdom. And you can see all three of those guys together. What a great looking group. Look at that. That's just, love it. Love it. That's just way cool. Very, very cool. I like this very much. All right. There you go. Yeah, that's awesome. It's so nice to have the trio here, the Terrible Three. So, good stuff. All right, so that's it for comparisons. So we'll get these two guys out of here, and we will transform Galvatron back into his robot mode, and we'll go from there. All right, so to get Kingdom Galvatron returned back to his robot mode, the first thing you need to do is start taking some pieces off of this guy. So you can take the cannon off, take the matrix off, take the guns off, and then take this cannon piece right here off. And while you have it in your hand, go ahead and put your cannon back together. That way, oops, helps if I put it on the right side. No, I was putting it on the right side. There we go. All right, that way you've got everything ready. You go ahead and take the two ships, two little guns, and make your mega gun. And that way you have everything put off to the side. So now you have Galvatron just back in his big solid chunk. So what you want to do here is you can flip these up right there, bring these legs up, that way you keep them out of your way, and then you can turn your attention to these little sections right here and pull those out so they are disconnected. That will then allow you to pull these and bring these arms up out of the way. Slide those up so they are no longer interfering with everything else that you need to do. And what you can do now is you can just go ahead and get these legs ready. So give these legs a little bit of a pull and bring those down. And now you can give them the splits and If you want, you can go ahead and turn them 90 degrees. Grab these little flaps and bring them back around to the back on either side. Give them a squeeze. Bring out your heel spurs. And then you have the legs done. So now you can just do what you want with those. All right, so the next step is to give this a little bit of a tug right there. And let me move these arms out of the way so you can have a better look. Take this assembly right here and pull that out of the way and clear that. So now you have room to bring this up. And as you're bringing this up, you're going to want to separate these. Now, this makes me a little bit nervous because this is all painted right here, and this secures really, really tightly. And about the best place is to get your fingernail in right there and give that a pull. So I'm worried about over time maybe losing some paint right there, so just be aware of that. When you pull that out, that exposes the head, so you can start bringing the head out and spin that up. And now you have him kind of exploded. So if you bring those legs the rest of the way down, move this out of your way, it allows you to bring this assembly up, and you have a tab right here. It goes to a slot down there. And don't slot it in just yet, but get it lined up so it's about ready to go. And then right here, you have this area where you're going to want to push the front of the chest down. You should have something that looks like that. This will align the head properly. So this tab lines up to this slot. And now you can just close that up and give that a squeeze. And now push this the rest of the way in. So you have that secured. And now back here, you have this peg that will go into this port. So you can just line that up right there. And now for these arms, you're going to bring these arms up and give them a click and give them a click and secure those in. Move this out of the way. Do the same thing here. So bring that up, give it a click, give it a click. And you can adjust those shoulder pads, those shoulder pylons any way you want. Move your hip skirts down and out of the way. Take your tracks. They're on that double hinge. So just push those tracks back and get them out of the way. Disconnect the bottom of the forearm to the top of the shoulder. Pull your fist out and do the same thing over here. Take that track, bring it back, disconnect the arm or untab it, and pull that fist out. And there you have Galvatron. Once I get him all secured, back in his robot mode. All right, so now what we can do is we can get his accessories on him and show him all dressed up and ready for the party and talk briefly about effects, and then we'll bring in some comparisons. So, of course, you cannot have a Galvatron from the movie without having the matrix of leadership around his neck. So you just drape that there. Oh, one last thing on the transformation. Just bring this up. There you go. Per the directions, you should have it about like that. All right, so you have the matrix of leadership. And then you can take this big old gun. Now, there are two tabs here. You know, you could not very easily tab it into the forearm and not very easily tab it into the upper bicep. But you can put it here and plug it in right there. But what I like to do is I like to put it underneath. This looks like a low slung kind of minigun look. It's a personal preference. I like this better. It's up to you. You know, when you have one in hand, do whatever you want to do. But for me, I like this little low slung minigun look, kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. So, and then of course you have the fusion cannon, and you have two options for the fusion cannon. You can plug it in right here on the forearm if you choose, and then of course it follows the forearm, or you can mount it on the bicep, which is my preferred method. And then that way you can still have kind of a tyrant fist thing going while the cannon is pointing the direction of his bicep. So I tell you what though, in hand, just the overall presence of this figure is phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about the way this figure feels, the way this figure looks. It's just great. So anyway, there we go. Now he's a little more stable. I got a little bit of ankle tilt there. So what we'll do now is bring in some effects just for fun. So there's not a whole lot here as far as effects go. I mean, he's got a couple of good spots, but it's nothing too amazing. I've seen better, particularly on the Inferno mold. And on Ultra Magnus, he's got all kinds of spots for effects. So, but hey, Galvatron's got it where it counts, I suppose. So, of course, I think it'll just be easier if I just take the cannon off. You do have the effects compatibility here, where you can plug it in and get a big boomer out of that. The only problem that I have with this is it's orange on orange, so it all kind of blends together. I don't know how excited I am about that, but it's an option. And then you do have a few different spots, like we talked about. If you want to give him where he's taking fire, you know, you could do something like that. And here in the back, he does have that port. Now, of course, he is weaponizer compatible, so you could put a Paleotrex or a Ractinite or something like that on him, a fast track, and weaponize this guy up and have a good time. But, you know, you could always give him the Starscream shot in the back look as well. And let's be honest, if Starscream wanted to shoot anybody, it would be Galvatron for turning him into dust at his coronation. So, then of course, down here at the bottom, you have some spots where you can get the little bit of flight action if you want to do that. So you could have a flying Galvatron. I think that's a cool look. Alright. So yeah, as far as effects go, he's kind of limited, but hey, there's enough there to have some fun with him. Alright, so let's get him straightened out and we will bring in some comparisons. Alright, so the first comparison, like I said, I don't have a G1 Galvatron. The closest that I have that would be in relation to him is my G1 Rodimus Prime. So you can see how those two guys look together. And wow, just how far we've come in engineering and design for Transformers. Just astounding. We're living in the golden age, guys. The golden age, I'm telling you. Alright, so let's move him on out of the way. And next we will bring in the Galvatron from the Bayverse movies. And same thing here. Wow. Lazy. Not lazy. Just great engineering and great design here. So what a great figure. Alright. Hey, look at that. He's got a truck on his back. Alright, so the next one, we will bring in the Titans Return Galvatron. And I think purely from an aesthetic standpoint, these two guys look pretty good together. This one has a lot of weak points, design and engineering wise, definitely showing its age. But, you know, he's about the same size and he's got a lot of purple on him. So purely from a look standpoint, I think these two guys look pretty good together. But he's definitely the superior figure, without a doubt. Alright. Next, we will bring in another leader from the Kingdom line. So you can see how those two guys look together. See leader Ultra Magnus with leader Galvatron. And yeah, sorry, Magnus, your days are numbered. This guy right here is going to take you out. Alright. Next, we will bring in the Megatron from Siege. So you can see how those two guys look together. I think that's a pretty good look between the two of them. Absolutely. All right. Next, we will bring in my universal scale, the Kingdom Earthrise leader, Optimus Prime. All right, and one that I'm going to bring in that I did not bring in for the alt mode, but I'm going to bring in Hot Rod. You know I had to do it. And wow, the fun you can have with these two figures right here. I mean, yeah, okay, he's Kingdom. Yeah, he's Studio Series 86. But without a doubt, these were meant to be together. Just look at that. That's love it. Love it, love it, love it. Man, that's just great. Okay, enough fawning. And next I will bring in Scourge. So you can see Galvatron next to one of his minions. And we're just going to put you over here on the side for a second, buddy. And for the final comparison, here he is with Cyclonus. Oh my gosh. This, I mean, I'm a kid again. I am a kid again. I'm, so, I don't know. Words can't express just what I'm feeling right now, seeing this. I mean, are you kidding me? This is just, the fanboy is just coming out in me right now. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at that. Gosh. All right. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna compose myself here. We'll get these two guys out of the way, and I will give you my final thoughts on Kingdom Galvatron. Yeah. So my final thoughts on the Transformers Kingdom Galvatron. Are you kidding me right now? I am completely geeking out. This is just a must-have figure. He is big, he's chunky, he's solid, the engineering is good, the tune accuracy is about the best I've ever seen in a Galvatron. About my biggest complaint with this guy is I wish he had articulated hands. I think it would just add another element that would, you know, just take it to the next level, and I can only assume they're going to do that for the Masterpiece version, of which I guarantee you there will be a Masterpiece version. You know, it would have been nice if they could have found something better to do with the tracks on his shoulders, but for the most part, they're not too obtrusive, they don't get in the way, and they certainly don't detract from the overall presence of this figure. I mean, this guy is just big and intimidating and brawny, and he looks so darn good with Scourge and with Cyclonus. I mean, this is just, I can't help it. I'm going total fanboy and geeking out on you right now because of how amazing this figure is. Without a doubt, this has to be part of your collection. If you are in any way, shape, or form a Transformers fan, particularly of the 86 movie, then you are going to love this guy. I mean, between Galvatron and Cyclonus, what they've done here is just phenomenal. I mean, I mean it when I say we're living in the golden age. I cannot believe that I'm sitting here right now touching, holding, and talking about a figure of this quality. So yes, without a doubt, I highly recommend picking this figure up. Of course, if you can get him. As always, I don't like scalpers. I don't like paying scalper price. I did not pay scalper price for this. This was a pre-order from BigBadToyStore.com. I'm frankly kind of shocked that it arrived when it did. I wasn't expecting it to come in as soon as it did, but I did pick this up for the MSRP off of Big Bad Toy Store. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that this is a must-have for your collection. So guys, with that, I'm going to wrap up this review so I can actually play with him, because I'm tired of talking about him and I actually want to get him in some poses and do some cool stuff with him and try to get some pictures up on our Facebook page. So yeah, with that, thanks for tuning in. Be sure, if you like what we do here, hit that like button, Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear back from you guys. So yeah, with that, until we talk again, you guys take care. I'm going to go play now. Talk to you later.